Born in Colombia in 1978, Edmar Castañeda is celebrated worldwide as one of the most innovative harpists in modern music. His music combines the historic folk traditions of Colombia with contemporary jazz. A Latin Grammy nominee, Edmar has collaborated with Wynton Marsalis and Béla Fleck, performed at Carnegie Hall, and brought his sound to millions through the soundtrack of Disney's Encanto. Edmar will bring his electrifying sound to the Jazz Kitchen on June 6th, and I'll speak with Edmar in a moment. First, let's hear an example of his music. This is Afro Joropo.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh.
That was Edmar Castañeda with Afro Joropo. He'll be performing at the Jazz Kitchen on June 6th. I recently spoke with Edmar. Let's join our conversation. Edmar, you'll be performing in Indianapolis on June 6th at the Jazz Kitchen. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with our listeners here in Indiana.
Oh, it's a pleasure for me. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful night with my quartet, so I'm looking forward.
Edmar, you have roots in Colombian folkloric music. A major figure in Colombian folk music just passed away this month, the legendary Afro-Colombian singer Toto La Momposina. As we get started, I wanted to ask if you ever had the chance to meet her or work with her, or if you have any thoughts on her influence and legacy in Colombian music.
Yeah, it's a big loss for our country, as she's one of the people, singers from the coast of Colombia that, you know, everybody follow her for advice and for the singing that she does on the coast of Colombia. And I never had the chance to play with her. I met her once, but I love her music and stuff. It's beautiful, you know. You feel Colombia when she sings, you know. So it's a big loss for us, and I hope all other singers now come and keep going in that way, you know.
From what I understand, you started playing harp around age 13. You play a very different type of music than Toto, but in Colombia and Venezuela, the harp has a big role in folkloric music. Tell me about what it was as a young person that attracted you to this instrument.
So I met the harp when I was 7 years old in a dance school in Bogota, the capital of Colombia. My mom took me with my sister to learn how to dance this folk music. The plains of Colombia and Venezuela, we share this music, these harps, this tradition. And that was the first time I saw a harp, you know, in that school, because it was full of harp, full of cuatros, full of, you know, this folk music. And I just got in love with this music. I was like, wow, that's what I want to play, you know. And I feel like I was born to play the harp, you know. And after that, it was just trying to learn the traditional music, the llanera music, the music from the plains of Colombia. And then I came. When I was 13, my aunt gave me a harp because she saw that I really wanted to play this instrument. And I got a harp, and since that day, I haven't stopped playing until today. You know.
What was it like the first time you had a chance to put your fingers on the strings? Did you immediately know this was something that you were going to follow?
The first time I saw it at the school at 7, it was like, wow, like it was a big connection. Like, And then I just play a little bit with friends, like, oh, give me this. And a friend of mine gave me, went to live on our house, and he was a harp teacher. So he brought harps, and then he started teaching me how to play songs on his harps. That's when I was 13. And he gave me like 6 months of playing, you know, and I remember I just learned so quick, you know, because I wanted so much, and I watched so much before that, you know. So I was ready, you know. And then she gave me the harp, and it was amazing, you know. It was the feeling was beautiful.
Is there a legacy of musicians in your family? I believe your father, Pavelid, plays the harp as well. I think you grew up apart from him, but yeah, tell me about your family.
Yeah, my dad is a musician. He was a music teacher in Colombia, pianist, studying college. That's what he studied, piano. And his passion was this music genre, music and the harp, you know. He couldn't be a harpist, but that's what he wanted in Colombia. So when he came to the States, he saw the opportunity of being a harpist, you know. He started learning and making more perfect the harp, you know. And then I came with him like in '94 because he brought me to the United States. And that's when we never lived together before, so we start sharing this passion for the harp and learned it together. And I learned a lot also from him because he's an amazing musician and harpist. Yeah, we both passionate about harp.
You mentioned you came to the United States in '94. I think you were around 16 years old. Is that right?
Yes.
You came here and you began studying jazz. From my understanding, you studied the trumpet because there was no curriculum in jazz for the harp. Am I correct about that?
I didn't. I used to play a little bit of trumpet in Colombia. When my dad was in Colombia, he wanted me to be a trumpet player. So he put me in a band where it was a band, and I used to play trumpet a little bit. And then when I came to the States, they took me to high school to register, and they take you to the van because you play music. So there was no harp, you know, and folk harp, no way. So I decided, okay, I play trumpet. They put me to play trumpet. And that's when I met jazz for the first time in that high school, you know, like big band and stuff. Like, I never heard that in my life before, you know. So it was like, wow, I want to learn this music. And I started playing trumpet and at the same time harp every night, you know, in a restaurant. And then I went to college to study trumpet because there was no studies for harp, you know, for jazz. So I just wanted to learn more about the language of jazz, and that's the way I experience this music, you know. And then I pass it to the harp, you know.
You know, there's a history of harp and jazz music. Obviously, Dorothy Ashby and Alice Coltrane, who used the instrument in a very unique way. It seems like with people like Brandy Younger and you, the harp is becoming more mainstream in jazz. Do you feel like there's a more of a place for this instrument in jazz music than there was 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's has been my goal from 30 years that I'm in this country, is just to be a leader as a harpist. And in jazz, you know, now it's a good time for the harp, you know. I think it's more visible for for the jazz and to keep, the legacy of Dorothy and Alice, So for me, it's an honor.
Edmar, you mentioned the llanera music of Colombia. It's my understanding the harp you played today is different from the arpa llanera that you probably played at age 13 in Colombia. In fact, you have your own line of harps now that are customized to play the nuances of jazz music. Tell me about the harp you play today as a performer and how that's different from the harps you grew up with.
So the harp the traditional llanera harp, it's like this one that you see in the back, But if you see those levers, these little things right here, that's a mechanism that you make sharps. It's like the black keys of the piano. They were not before on the traditional harp, So you have to stay in one key, or you have to start playing and retune the instrument, and it was very limited, So from the years I started going to Colombia and get harps, I always go to luthiers and they just change this, cut here, and I start changing the instrument, to shape the instrument as I wanted to play the music that I wanted to play, And then I met an amazing friend, and he builds, and he has a big company, Camac, in France. He saw the develop that I was doing with the llanera harp, and he asked me, like, let's work on this instrument and make it better, and put these levers and make it, as like a high level instrument. That's what we did, and that's the model, the easy llanera, and it's beautiful because you have, a way to compose and to move different keys, and it's opened the door, more, So now all country, Colombia, Venezuela, they copy this harp, and all the kids are playing, It's good to see that.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. If you're just tuning in, my guest is the Colombian-born harpist, Edmar Castañeda. He'll be performing at the Jazz Kitchen on June 6th. Let's return to our conversation. Your technique, your style as a harpist really emphasizes bass notes, right? I wanted to ask if you've been influenced by bass players. I know you composed a composition in tribute to Jaco Pastorius. Have bass players influenced your approach to playing harp?
Yeah, I mean, I think I love bass. It's one of my passions too. And when I got to this country, we had a group as a family. My sister sings, my brother plays, and I was playing the bass. So, and my dad was playing the harp. So I learned a lot, playing the bass, and that gave me like the feeling. You have to experience whatever you want to change or learn. You have to play it, you have to dance, you have to, like the trumpet, you have to learn the language of jazz. You go and play it, That's what happened with the bass. I started playing bass, and then I started playing solo harp. So I was doing the same lines of the bass on this left hand, and then playing piano here, and trying with this whole information of jazz, on the harp, That's when this technique was created, the harp sounds like 3 or 4 instruments at the same time,
It's incredible watching you perform live, and I've had the chance to see you a couple times. One of those performances was pretty significant. In March of 2019, I saw you play in Knoxville, Tennessee at the Big Ears Music Festival. This was a concert with Béla Fleck, the banjo player. And it was my understanding you had never collaborated before that concert. You had never performed together. But this led to a pretty significant relationship with Béla Fleck, which culminated in the release of an album last year. Tell me about that concert, I think everyone was just in awe that day of how deep your musical conversation was on first meeting. Yeah.
I mean, it was great. We met with Béla before, just talking. We never played like a concert, you know. I invited him to play on one of my records, Harp versus Harp. And that was the collaboration when it started, you know, and it was like, wow, the banjo works so beautiful with the harp, and, you know. And then he invited me to play at the festival as a duo just to see what happened, you know. And it was like really connection, really beautiful with Béla. He's an amazing musician and a friend. And then he could call me one day, like, because I keep talking to him, like, we should play, let's do more, you know, let's record. And he said, okay, let me see. And then he said, you know Antonio Sanchez, the drummer? I said, yes, from Mexico, of course. We said, would you like to do something with him and we do as a trio? I said, yeah, man, that would be a killing. And then we start jamming and playing, and then we record an album that is now out, and it has been a really good grooving experience.
Yeah. And Edmar, before we go, I wanted to ask you about a project outside of your work in jazz. I believe you were part of the 2021 Disney film Encanto. You worked as a musician and a music consultant. Encanto did an amazing job bringing Colombian folkloric music to audiences in the United States, an audience that maybe had limited familiarity with this incredible tradition of music in Colombia. Was that a meaningful experience for you? Was it exciting to see Colombian folk music displayed so prominently in the United States?
Yeah, of course. You know, the thing is that, you know, Disney is a big, you know, market and a great opportunity for my country, Colombia, you know. So when they came and I came in the game, pretty much the music was made, but it was not sounding like Colombia. So I have to change and shape a little bit so it get a little bit of my country, Colombia. And I think that's the result, you know. I think it's one of the biggest hit of Disney, you know, this movie and this music. And it was an honor for me to work on this and to show a little bit of my tradition and to work with Disney, you know, creating this with everybody. It was a whole team of doing music for this.
Edmar, you'll be performing in Indianapolis on June 6th at the Jazz Kitchen. I really encourage our listeners to attend this concert. Your recordings are great, but there's something special you bring to the live performance that is unforgettable. It's electrifying. Any final thoughts you want to share? Anything you want to say about this concert?
Yes, we're going to be playing new music on my new coming out album. So it will be a premiere for the people there. So it's good with this quartet with my wife, Andrea Tierra, who's the singer. Birsa Chatterjee on tenor sax and Julian Miltenberger on drums. So we're gonna create or play this music that we're gonna record. This album is coming out in September, so it's gonna be a nice listen music.
Edmar Castañeda, thank you so much for taking time to speak with our audience today.
Honored
to have you on the program. Thank you.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you.